There was a rumor that they were beefing, but Tyler confirms that they don't have any issues. So it says it was recently reported on the rumors that was swirling that the twosome were on the outs over constructive criticism over Perry's show. Well, I got some constructive criticism, and we can be on the outs, Tyler, and I don't give a damn, because I'm going to make a promo out of this anyway and share it to your page.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Now we're talking with Mervin A. Bourne Jr.
and Lolita E. Walker,
where you get it from a man's
and a woman's perspective.
Hey everybody!
Welcome back to another episode of Now We're Talking with Mervin A. Bourne Jr. and Lolita E. Walker.
We go live every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. and on your radio dial, which is on BeExposedRadio.com. We're also on YouTube at BeExposed Radio. And hopefully you are already tuned into our show, which is on Now We're Talking on Facebook. So Facebook Live.
That's right. Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Check us out.
Check us out. And hopefully today we are getting into an awesome topic of self-care, and we're hoping that we can engage you guys today. So go ahead and log in. Let us know that you're here because we're just going to be talking it from a man's and a woman's perspective.
That's right. So, I mean, we got so much to talk about. There's so much that you can go into when you talk about self-care, starting with what it is in the first place. But of course, what it is, why is it important? What does it mean to you?
Yep.
Because self-care means different things to different people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think it's also very interesting that there are a lot of circles where self-care doesn't even come up. It's not even a discussion. So that's why I'm excited about talking about it today, because I think that our audience is a group of people that could really benefit from it. I think everyone can benefit from it, but especially our audience.
And I think that the awesome thing about self-care is when you really tap in, you'll recognize the benefits. So I know that we'll get into it a little later on. We're going to talk about some easy topics first, and then we'll go into why I'm talking about it today versus us bringing in another expert when you have one right here.
That's right. That's
Absolutely.
Right.
So how was your week this week so far?
It was a crazy week.
Has it been?
I'm looking forward to the end of tomorrow.
Okay, that's what I'm talking. It's getting nice out.
It is, but I did love that about this week. That was probably my favorite part of this week, was having a few days where I didn't have to wear a coat.
I'm telling you.
I'm just letting the sun, feeling the sun shine down on me, and it's just amazing. It's my favorite season is spring and summer. So
I love summer. Summer is it for me.
Yeah.
Spring is good, but it's still a little drifty outside, and I can't jump into a pool.
A little too cool.
It's a little too cool.
I feel you. But this week we had some summer days.
We did, and I must say I'm still recovering. I laugh every time I say that, because when Kenji was here, you mentioned, what if you're still recovering after 2 years? So mine hasn't even been 6 months yet, but I had surgery on my ACL, reconstructive surgery, and so now I'm getting into the aspect where I can jog for 2 minutes, then walk, then jog. So that's great, because I can get my physical fitness back together, my self-care for physical fitness. So
it's a great feeling. I was on
Absolutely.
crutches a couple months ago, so I can relate to the feeling of wanting to get back into it, but you have to wait, and it's hard when you have to sit around, and you know, when you're used to being active, and you know, it's tough.
I know, and it's the summertime now, so
That's
we need to be a little active. So.
Oh, now you're extra motivated.
Now I'm extra motivated. I'm all in. I'm all in. So your win for last week, or this week, because we're at Thursday. What's your win for the week?
My win for this week was I solidified, or at least started to solidify, a theme for my very first upcoming men's retreat.
Ah, congratulations.
Yes, thank
Super
you.
exciting.
I'm very excited about it. It's going to be awesome. I mean, people have been raving about your women's retreats for quite some time now. And it's time for,
it is,
and it's much needed, that we get something together that will address the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual wellness of men.
Absolutely. Are you ready to say around when it's happening, or just 2019 we can look in store?
It's going to be fourth quarter 2019.
Oh, that is so amazing. High five on that. Yes.
So, stay tuned for the date and the location. It'll be coming to you soon.
Fourth quarter men's retreat. I am all in. So we should talk about that today, because I know sometimes men could be more challenged with thinking about a retreat versus a woman. Absolutely. And so we'll talk about that a little later today. Hopefully you guys can chime in and let us know what you guys think. You know, as a man, would you be inclined to go to a men's retreat?
Right.
Interesting.
And what is that even? Like, what do people do at a retreat?
What do you expect to do at a men's retreat?
Right.
Oh, that's awesome.
Or any retreat in general. You know, that's something you could definitely speak to.
I will.
But I think people would be really curious about what exactly goes on at these retreats.
Absolutely.
And why do I need to be there?
And you know, the word retreat is coming up so much. And so there's different retreats for everything. So I'll talk about mine specifically that I do twice a year, and one that's coming up April 20th. I'm excited about. So my win, that's awesome. I'm so excited for you. Yes. My win is also around a retreat. Okay. I'm having a one-day retreat. This is my first time having a one-day versus a 4-day retreat on April 20th. And I've made some great strides towards that. Just today, almost on my way here, I got another woman who's paid up, and I'm just so excited about that.
Awesome.
The ahas that I see when people leave my retreats are so amazing. And so April 20th, we'll talk more about it, but it's a Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And if you are a busy woman who simply needs to pause, this retreat is for you. It's in Brandywine, Maryland. 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we'll talk more about it, and you can definitely log on to lolitawalker.com and get more information.
Awesome. So April 20th, mark your calendars.
Yes.
There's deadlines coming up on the
Yes, sign up now because the 20th is around the corner. I want to get you your welcome packet. I also want to get you some detailed information, some papers that you need to sign so we can get on our way. Right. And all of those papers are absolutely due on the 19th before you come to the retreat on the 20th.
And how can people reach you if they're interested in learning more about the retreat?
Yes, so 2 different ways. The first is that you can email me at change, CHANGE, at Lolita, LOLITA, Walker.com. You can also call me at 443-353-9121. Again, that's 443-353-9121. And I've had a number of women call just to say, hey, can you talk me through what the agenda is? How do I know if it's for me? So I'm all in about those things and seeing how I can touch base with you.
So I know you might not want to give the agenda away, but for someone that's never ever been on a retreat, they've only heard the word retreat thrown around. What could you say to that person about why they might want to take a peek behind the curtain and take a plunge?
So let's just dissect the word retreat. Retreat really is a withdrawal. It is a time for you to withdraw from a place of chaos or a place that you want to pause, reflect, and then come back renewed. You just want to withdraw. So my retreats specifically allow you that sacred space to do that. What a woman should look forward to when she's coming to one of my women's retreats is from the time that I speak to you on the phone and you lock your price until the time that you come, until the time of our call after the retreat, is that you are in a sacred space to release, to be in touch with you, to recognize your strengths, to have support from other women around the room, to get educated not only by me as a facilitator, but also by other powerful women entrepreneurs that I bring in order to feed and nourish your mind, your body, and your spirit. So I know today we're going to be talking about the different aspects of self-care. Right. And we at the retreat touch on so many aspects. We touch on emotional and mental, spiritual, I mean, there's just so much that we tap into with the different facilitators. So I'll be happy to talk about some facilitators that we've had up until this point.
No, that would be incredible. Now, what would you say to someone who's thinking, everything you just said sounds great, but that also sounds like something that is for wealthy people who really don't work a lot and they just have tons of leisure time. And I'm busy. I don't have time for that rich people stuff.
Yes.
I don't have time to step away from my everyday busy life, I have a family, or I have school, I have obligations, I have so much going on. How in the world can I step away for a day from all of these things I have going on?
And I not only ask you to step away for a day, but I ask you to step away for 2 days plus a weekend. So it's a 4-day retreat. So I get everything that you're saying. This specific retreat is catered to a busy woman who rarely takes time for herself, but gifts herself to everybody else. So this woman that we're talking about is like, how am I going to get away?
Right.
What I say to that woman, because I was that woman, is you've got to take time for yourself in order to gift yourself to anybody else. In order to take care of someone, you have to have the capacity. Your body will shut down if you don't take care of you, right? You ever gotten sick, can't get out the bed? It's your body telling you you're moving too quickly.
Yeah.
And so I believe to be your holistic self, so to give all of you to work, to give some of you to home, to life, to everything else, you have to make sure that you're feeding yourself. And that comes in a pause. That comes in literally pausing and breathing. And doing that surrounded by like-minded people who are going to push you to your next level.
So you say you've been that person.
Absolutely.
But you look like you're 25. So people at home are saying, yeah, right, you've been that person. You worked in corporate America for a long time.
17 and a half years, yes. And, you know, working inside of an environment that's a 9-to-5 that pushes you, that has expectations, that has deadlines. I have direct reports. There are expectations beyond just a leadership team role, but globally, if you work for a global company.
Yeah. And you did.
Absolutely, I did. You know, all of that is taxing. All of that is taxing.
Yes.
And sometimes we're in it every day and we're pushing and we're pushing and we're pushing through, and we believe that if we weren't there, the job would just shut down.
Right. And
newsflash.
Is that true?
Newsflash.
Is there any truth to that at all?
It does not. If you get sick or get hit by a bus, the job will continue to go tomorrow. You might get flowers, you know, and it's easier said than done. But I offer this space, whether it's coaching a client, an individual client, or an executive, to say, what is your role? What is your role? What is the role that you're trusting to your employees? Let's answer that, because a lot of times we are saying and we're trying to solve for more than what we're responsible for.
Yes.
And putting ourselves in this save them mentality, when the reality is you don't really need to. It's just because of our personal push. It's because of our perfectionism. It's because we want to be the best, and the best to us has equated to something that no one has even asked of us. We've set these internal expectations, and we're driving and we're driving. But sometimes with us driving and driving, we're forgetting the trust that we have in the people that are right there for us. Yeah.
And we want to be sometimes all things to all people except
to ourselves. We always put ourselves on a back burner. And you know, people will go into this too, but people always ask, Lolita, are your retreats, why aren't you doing men's retreats? Why aren't these together retreats? And that's funny that you should ask, because I am working on a co-ed retreat and making sure that, you know, we can tap into that. So we might have some opportunity to do something together, Mervin.
That would be nice. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
So when we come back from our break, from Now We're Talking, I have a couple questions for Lolita. I want to know more about your attitude on self-care.
Yes.
And what camp you fall into. There are different camps, like self-care is for wimps.
Yes.
There's the self-care is for wimps camp. I'm out here grinding. I don't have time for that. I wish I could, but
I got stuff
where am I
to
going to find that time? I got stuff to do. There's the what's that camp. And then there's the people who acknowledge that it's very necessary, and I prioritize self-care, and I make it a part of my regular routine.
Absolutely. Okay.
So when we get back, we'll talk more about that. We're talking self-care on Now We're Talking with Mervin and Lolita. Be back soon.
Absolutely.
Back with the shit, tell me you lie. I think we should go for another round. Baby, try not to say too much. Let your love come down. If you wanna rule, there's some rules you gotta live by. Live by. Stay true to your cool, make a move. Don't wait on nobody else. And if it feels like a melody, sing a song, be my radio. And if you follow me there, I'll follow you back. Let the night unfold. I can tell that she can't get enough. Show enough, she couldn't get the feels off from me. Oh no, she couldn't get the feels off from me. Got your hands till we dance in the dark. Show enough, she couldn't get the feels off from me. We do whatever you like. Get the feels off from me. Oh no, she couldn't get the feels off from me. So let's slide, you and me alone, to find who we really are. Crash into something new. I got ballet bringing up the car. Told me you kiss, told me you lie. I think we should go for another round. Baby, I wanna take you, but we gotta groove so we can lose the crowd. If you wanna rule, there's some rules you gotta live by. Live by.
Like the one thing you always gotta remember is people gonna try to project their insecurities onto you. But you can't listen to what them niggas saying. You gotta get out here and do your shit regardless. You gonna do what you love for the rest of your life anyway. So why not turn that shit into something? Be a man of everything you say. This shit bigger than me, man. Like yeah, I'm good and all that, but you know what I mean? I ain't shit without y'all. So no matter what you up, you gotta go hard. Don't matter. Can you imagine how I really having nothing is? Stomach growling, you ain't got no food in the fridge. Surviving on a jail diet of water and bread. No father figure, it's cause my father dead. Mom's bringing different niggas in and out the crib. No money, so you seen it's less than all your friends. But it a joke.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Check out this snippet from the new season of Talk Lately with Monty about Jennifer Holliday.
Anyway, let's get back to
yeah, well, what I wanted to say is that I can understand 100% where Jennifer Holliday is coming from, and that's sort of kind of where my 20% came from. When I basically came out and said who I voted for, I received a lot of backlash. Even on my own talk show, which comes on every Monday from 5 to 7 p.m., I was called a coon. Okay, yeah, shout out for the plug. But yeah, someone actually, they told CJ Bernie that I was a coon, and that really hurt me. I've been called everything from a fat whatever and everything, but someone actually commented on his Facebook. I didn't even say that. That's kind of rough. Called me a coon, but it's coon. I like you. It's crazy because I just feel like someone like Jennifer Holliday. I understand why she stepped down, but I'm kind of upset with her because I think she still should have performed.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back to Now We're Talking with Mervin A. Bourne Jr. and Lolita E. Walker.
Hello.
We're broadcasting live every Thursday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern, and the shows are also available afterwards on YouTube, on BeExposedRadio.com, as well as on our Facebook pages for BeExposedRadio.com, as well as Now We're Talking.
Yes, and if you haven't already liked our page, please do, because we put up some cool things after the show with some of our special guests and some of the radio staff that's around.
We also post a lot of cool content during the week in between shows, and you'll get alerts when the shows are starting if you're subscribed to our page. So like the page.
Like the page. We like you.
So this week we're talking self-care. What is it? Why is it important? Why do you need it? Is it for everybody? Is it only for some people? Is it only for rich people? No, it's not only for rich people. It's for everyone. Everyone that works hard, everyone that has families, has children, have responsibilities. It's for everyone.
Absolutely.
Self-neglect is for no one. Right? So instead of having another in-studio guest today like we typically have, we have our own expert on staff who is our guest today, guest slash host, all at the same time.
Hello.
And you've been doing some really amazing things in the field of self-care.
Thank you.
And on the last segment, we talked about retreats and your retreat model and how beneficial that is and how important that is for the women who you sponsor these retreats for. And so you have one coming up, April the 20th.
April
is your
20th,
next one.
one-day retreat in Brandywine, Maryland from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., specifically geared to busy women who rarely pause. Right. And it is the abridged version, but necessary version of my 4-day retreats, which I do twice a year. In February, which just ended, so powerful, and in September. This one will be September 19th through the 22nd. So it's just expanding over time. It sells out each and every time. God, thank you, God willing. And I just have powerful facilitators who are intentional that I bring each time.
And you have very small, exclusive groups as well.
Very small. So I keep these retreats between 8 and 10 women. And the reason for that is because so let me step back a little bit and tell you a little bit about who I am and what I do, especially because I know you know, but the folks out there might not know. So I am a certified life and executive coach. I am an author of The Intersection of You and Change, and I am a change champion for women primarily. And I also work with government, I work with teams, and I work with anyone who is going through a transformational change. Because my specialty is really helping you to identify what the change is and then transition through it successfully so that you not only get out on the other side, but that you thrive. So I'm all about embrace, act, thrive. Eat, change to nourish you, EAT.
Embrace,
it is
act, thrive.
Embrace where you are, no matter what the circumstance. Act in your strengths and then thrive in your greatness.
I love it.
You'll be so surprised how powerful it is to hear from other people, which you probably know as well, when people tell you you're really good at this, or one of your strengths is that, and it's new to you, you didn't think it, you might have also thought it was an opportunity that you needed to work on. There's so much power in really understanding that. And so I offer sacred spaces at my retreats, women, but I also do corporate retreats. So I offer sacred spaces so that we can identify where you want to be, where you want to go, where is your goal. If you don't know, I'll help you get clear on that. Then when we do know, we start to navigate our way through. So it's welcome aboard Lolita's Change Train. All right, I always talk about that. Welcome aboard Lolita's Change Train, and I'll be your change conductor so that we can navigate through these changes.
Nice. So what is Walker & Walker Enterprises?
Thank you for asking. Walker & Walker Enterprises is, I would say, the house for Lolita's Change Train. It is the station. It is my company. I founded it in 2017, so almost 2 years. Wow, almost 2 years. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yes.
Almost 2 years after I've been coaching, really, when I was in corporate America as well. And so I find myself in a space where I had to look at what are my strengths. And when I look at what are my strengths, not only what I believe and recognize, but also what other people have told me. And I draw out of my I Am Wonderful folder, which we all should have. I Am Wonderful folder is all of these kudos that people give you, whether through email or whether through telling you, whether you jot it down. But you need to pull on those things because that's your ammunition to keep your train going, right? So I pulled those things out and I said, well, what am I going to do now that I'm not working in corporate America? Now that I've leaped, what am I going to do? Well, I want to work in my strengths. I do know that much. I want to do less hard work, but more passionate work.
And now, what did you identify as your strengths? Because I think that's really important. Because oftentimes we work in these professions or these fields where we pretty much do the same thing every day. And I don't know if we really look at it or look at ourselves like, I have strengths.
Absolutely.
And it's sometimes it's easier to identify weaknesses because people are probably always telling you what your weaknesses are. But a lot of times it's easy to not really hone in on what your strengths are. So how did you identify your strengths and what did you identify them as?
Okay. One thing is we rarely ask. So there's power in your voice. Ask the question, what am I good at?
Right.
Ask that of people you live with. Ask that of your coworkers. Ask that of your peers. Ask that from 2 levels above, 2 levels below. What am I good at?
Right.
People tell you the truth about your strengths, right? The opportunities you kind of sometimes have to weed out and pluck out. I also knew, I also started thinking about what do I gravitate towards? What do I gravitate towards? What do people always ask me to help them with? Think about it. When people come to you, they're coming to you for a reason. What are they asking you for? For me, what folks told me that I was really good at is listening, which is funny because I would say that I don't listen very well. But they said listening. They said, and growing them. So listening, not being selfish for my own reasons to push myself forward, but really helping to push them forward. When I thought about that, when I thought about the feedback that I got from my direct reports, from 2 up and 2 below, you really start to think like, wow, I'm giving advice to people all the time. I rarely take my own advice. I'm doing better on that though. But I give advice to people all the time. And even in the steps of, pulling together my own business, it was during a time where a lot of my friends were being laid off because we were just in this crisis at this time a couple of years ago. And they wanted help. And, what are you doing? What should I do? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? So with all that being said, I thought about it and I said, I am going to help people to navigate through change. I was not only going through a change and a transition career-wise, I had not too long before that gone through a divorce. I had a couple of years before had a premature son, had moved from one state north to this state. So I was working at a new company, 5 years. It's pretty short.
That's a lot of change. And it sounds like a lot of stress as well. But hold that thought.
Okay.
We need to take a quick break.
Yep.
When we come back, we're going to hear more about your personal journey.
Okay.
Why you're qualified and certified to do what you're doing for all of these amazing women.
Okay.
And this retreat coming up, April 20th is the day. It's right around the corner.
Oh, it's right around the corner,
So people need to know about that because it'll be here before we know it.
I know, I'm so excited.
Please come back with us. Now we're talking with Mervin and Lolita.
Yep.
Don't move.
Bye-bye.
We'll be right back.
You're like an internal bleeder. Can't see your pain, but it can silently kill ya. So deeply wounded, but don't say a thing. Too afraid of what the people may say or think. So you just sit there and you suffer in silence. Your pride won't let you just uncover your secret. Don't wanna look weak in your image, it ain't worth losing. So you just act as if it's nothing happening. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
like an internal bleeder. Can't see your pain, but it can silently kill ya. Suicidal, depressed, but you won't say a thing. Too afraid of what the people may say or think. You feel alone.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Hey, we're back. We're back on Now We're Talking with Mervin A. Bourne and Lolita E. Walker every Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we can be found on YouTube, Facebook Live from Now We're Talking, or from BeExposedRadio.com and on BeExposedRadio.com. We are everywhere.
Yes, yes.
It's amazing. So we are talking self-care. Mm-hmm. We are talking about what is it? And that's a great place to start, actually.
Yeah. Well, we were right in the middle of, you were talking about your journey.
Yes.
And how you were going through all of these things in your life. The move, your son being born premature, all these things, new job in the span of, what, a year or two. Mm-hmm. And in the midst of that, picking up and moving to a new environment. This all sounds very stressful, very emotionally trying. And so how did you deal with that? How did it affect you? And how did you turn all of that into a win?
Great question. So the how I did it is I had 5 steps that I pulled into 5 steps. I didn't know it was 5 steps already, but I pulled into 5 steps. And I think all of it is sitting back and having that intentional pause. When there's so much chaos going on around you and there's this tornado of change going on, you find yourself crying in one room, you're getting yourself together because you know you're stronger than that. You're hiding yourself because you don't want people to see that part of you. It's just all these things happening. Then you have a child who you absolutely don't want to see that part of you. At some point, either God's going to knock you back, your body's going to tell you shut down, or you've got to say, what the hell am I doing? So I think it was a combination of all of those things. And even inside of my book, I tell you about this time where I'm literally in the mirror in a fetal position crying. And for me, I just recognized that I'm better than being in this space. So what am I going to do now? I'm an engineer by trade. So it's all about, let's make this thing improve. It's continuous improvement. It's step by step. So what I did was recognize, like, hey, I have a problem. That's step one. Hey, I have a problem. The second is, what am I going to do about it? And I didn't know the how right away, but I knew that I didn't like how I was feeling in this space.
So let me ask you this. When you say you recognize I have a problem, that's really big for me, because I encounter people in life that really don't think they have any problems, because in their mind, the problem is everyone else and everything around them. So I think recognizing that there's something about you that needs to be changed is actually bigger than sometimes we give it credit for.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the beauty, so for me, I believe that push comes from the support that I have around me and how I was raised. But to your point, there's so many people out there that, and sometimes us as well, is that sometimes you don't recognize what you're in because you're in the middle of it, right? You don't recognize it until somebody tells you that, hey, you're walking a little differently than you did 2 weeks ago. Hey, you know what? You've just been on top of people lately. Like, back off. What's going on? Is there something going on with you? And I think that's the value of a great support system. That's the value of people trusting you. That's the value of a coach, to be quite honest. The value of a certified life or executive or spiritual coach is really someone who attaches themselves to you, or you attach yourself to them in hopes that you are going to progress, soar farther and farther to where you want to be. It is you saying, I want to move further. I have some goals. I need to get a little clear. I need somebody with me to challenge me. Because as a coach, I don't tell you what to do. I'm not a consultant. I'm a coach, which means that I am going to challenge you in your thinking so that you come up with the answer. I'm not going to tell you the answer. And so some people say, well, why do I need a coach? How do I know if I need a coach? And what I would say is coaches need coaches. I have a coach. And how you know is because I always want to elevate beyond where I am today.
Wow.
I know
So
that about
growth.
me.
It sounds like growth.
Absolutely.
Is it the same thing as growth?
It's growth. I want to grow.
So what would you say to someone that says, I'm fine just the way I am? Why do I need to be concerned with growing and changing? I like me, I'm fine.
Okay.
What would you say to that person?
I would say to that person, where do you want to be? And they say, I'm good right where I am. Are you really good right where you are? Are you? Is there nothing more in this short amount of life that we have on this earth, which is not promised for tomorrow? Right. In this short span of time, is there nothing differently that you want to see yourself do? The answer most likely is going to say, well, you know, I could go to another country.
If you're being honest.
If you're being honest with yourself.
Right.
And guess what? Some people are not ready. And you got to be okay with that. I meet people where they are, but if they don't want to be met, it's okay. Right. Lolita's change train, it'll come back around, and eventually you'll jump. It's a lot of stops on it. In the book it's 17, today it might be 5. We're just going to tackle it as we get there.
So do you find that the people you coach and the people that come to your retreats are already in a place where they've identified, I want something different, I want something more, I want some level of change or growth or something, even if I haven't really identified it, there's something different that I want.
Yeah. Most people, yes. So people that contact me via my website, they already know because they've had the opportunity to go through lolitawalker.com, see what I'm all about, see some things that I'm doing, look at products or affirmations, really pull that information out. But sometimes you're just talking to somebody. I met someone at the nail shop who's coming to the April 20th retreat.
Wow.
Literally, we were at the nail shop getting our nails done. And how it came about is not that I was talking about what I was doing. She actually said, oh, I cannot wait to get home. I'm going to have an hour before my husband. Real story. I'm going to have an hour before my husband gets home. I'm just going to close my eyes and relax. And I was like, oh, that sounds really good. And you're starting off at the right place with the massage, right? So next thing you know, not even 5 minutes. She's, oh, I got to go to the post office. Oh, I got to definitely take a run. I got to do this. I got to cook. And she filled up this sacred space of 1 hour. It was gone. So I listened to her, and we're right beside each other at the nail shop. And I said, wow, that hour closed up real quick. Is the nap still happening? Yeah. And she's like, oh my gosh, I always do that. And then I said, you know, I'm all in your business. I'm all in your business. But I empower women to pause, to take that sacred space and to embrace that hour, to act in it, to understand it, to get that hour nap, and then get up and thrive. And so we just started talking, and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm near the retreat. And you know, sometimes when you meet people, you're like, okay, here's my card. I didn't take her information. I think I was rushing, but she wrote me. And there you have it. And that is someone who might not have known in that moment, I need a retreat. Yeah. But knew in that moment she needed that hour nap. Right. She just didn't recognize that I was beside her to hold her accountable to that hour nap. Right.
So so how do you get women to accept or acknowledge that they're worth everything that you're talking about? And the reason I ask that is because there's a lot of research in terms of sociology and psychology and the way that we're socialized in this country, but particularly the way that women are socialized in this country to thrive and live off of guilt.
Yes.
And that guilt oftentimes creates the complete opposite effect of everything you're talking about.
Yeah. Guilt, self-doubt, fear, all of those things I tell women, and even at the retreat, we talk about these. There's a workshop on fear. And it's these little things that sit on top of you and weigh you down. Right. Those are real. And it's self-reinforcing because we often reinforce it without other people even doing it for us. We do it for ourselves. Absolutely.
But especially the reason I mentioned guilt, and I want you to speak on that in particular, is because if you're a woman, especially if you're a woman with a child or children or family, add a job to that, isn't there an immense amount of guilt that you can feel by stepping away from all of that? Even if it's just for an hour, 24 hours, 48 hours, there's an immense amount of guilt that has to be dealt with. That's almost like a brick wall standing in between the regular mundane lives of the women that you're trying to reach and taking the leap and going on a retreat, for instance.
Yes, it's real. It absolutely is. And I would say that probably over half of the participants in every retreat have that guilt walking through the door. I've even had someone who all the way up until the day of had reasons why they shouldn't be at the retreat. Right. So that was my first retreat. And I will tell you that when she walked out on the other side, it was amazing. And what I will say, one, the guilt exists. Okay. Yeah. How do you get someone beyond that? Is to remind them that you are worthy of the same time, energy, and resources that you gift to everyone else. Yes. To remind them that when you are no longer on this earth, life will go on. To remind them that you are enough. You are enough. You are worthy of this space. You are taking 4 days away. It's not to minimize it, because you are an important entity in your family, wherever you work. You really are. But recognize that you have strengths that you need to continue to cultivate. The same way you take trainings, this is a women's weekend renewal and training event. This is why there's corporations that pay for their people to come to the retreat. It is because in order for you to give your whole self to someone else, you have to fuel and refuel yourself. Yeah. And so the guilt exists. I can't take it away, but what I can do is ease it. To get them there is the challenge. To keep them there is not a challenge. Because when you open up and you don't have somebody saying, "Mommy, mommy," or Did you make dinner? Do I have to do this? Oh, I have to run and do this for the children, or I have to run and do X, Y, and Z. When you don't have the added pressure of that, your body naturally does a and you can pause. Absolutely. There's still that guilt. You still want to check in. You're still the same person, but now I'm starting to refuel you. Now I have people there that are starting to feed into you. And when that starts to come up and you start to get that feeling, you start to fuel up like the gas tank. Yeah. You feel good. You have a different, you kind of forget about the people that's on the other side. It becomes the person that was calling every 15 minutes. An hour later, their phone is to the corner. You know, it's a wonderful thing to see.
And you get to see the transition from the beginning of the retreat to the end of the retreat.
And you can hear, so folks that's here online, you can go to lolitawalker.com under my retreats, and you'll see video testimonials from women outside of me, because I think it's amazing. But you'll know it from the ahas that you hear from the women that were there.
I love it. I love it. So I want to start talking about some different kinds of self-care.
Absolutely.
And in doing research for this show, I came across so many different kinds, some that I didn't even really think of before. But the first one that I'll throw out to you, and you tell me what you think about it, is physical self-care.
Yes. So Kenji was here a couple of weeks ago. And first I'll say that self-care holistically is cross-functional, cross everything. They all cross each other. So to be a whole you, to take care of you, which is self-care, it is to intentionally care for you. It's to intentionally own you in this being that you are, because you have to take care of it in order to thrive. So if you want to get somewhere, you got to make sure that you're taking care of this vessel.
Right. And you mentioned Kenji. Kenji Jackson was a guest we had a couple shows back. He's the owner of BKS Fitness. He's also an author and an educational consultant. He's a certified personal trainer. And when he was here, you know, we got really deep into the necessity of physical and mental wellness and health, and how you go about achieving it. And especially if you're a busy working person, like so many of us are. If you have families and children and educational obligations, like so many of us do.
And what he was able to share with us when we talked about mental and physical fitness was, here's 5 different exercises that you can do without even leaving your room, as long as you have a wall. And I think for that, when we talk about the physical self-care, it is, I want to, again, intentionally think about how I am going to take care of my body physically, because I recognize that that plays a role in my mental, in my emotional, in my...
About how you feel after you've exercised for like 2 days in a row.
I know.
Think about how that feels on the inside.
Yeah.
The boost to your self-confidence, to your ego, to your
eating habits.
Yes.
You don't want to eat that chip,
Right.
because you're like, one, I worked hard, but two, my body feels lighter.
Yeah.
Right?
It's much harder to go, eat, 2 huge bowls of ice cream after you've been working out for a couple of days in a row.
It is.
You actually, the craving kind of starts to go away.
It does.
But but there's definitely a direct connection between physical and mental wellness, and it's so often overlooked. And it's also connected to things that we don't even think they're connected to, like intimacy, sexual health.
Yeah.
It's all connected.
It is. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's the physical piece. What other ones were you able to take a look at?
Well, there's also psychological self-care.
Yes.
And I know that is part of your retreat system. You address that.
Yes, I do. And I think it's so important, because one of the things we really focus on in my retreats are transition through change. So we navigate a plan to transition through that and what that looks like, the aspects of that. And I have Dr. Sophia, who's been with me for the last 4 retreats. And we're coming up on our 5th. Wow. And the reason it's so important for Dr. Sophia Rahman to be there is because as you're going through change, my job as a certified coach is to help you navigate from where you are today to where you want to be. What Dr. Sophia can bring out, not only is that aspect, but she is trained to understand how you've gotten to this space. So what are the obstacles that came before here that might be holding you back? What are those limiting things? I can help work on what are the limiting things that's happening now so we can move those things out of the way. But sometimes it's important to understand the psychology of what got you to this place. And a certified life executive spiritual coach is unable to move inside of those spaces. That's why we have professionals like Dr. Sophia or psychiatrists who are able to do that work with us. So it's important for her to be there, because people are able to have this one-on-one conversation to understand inside of that space, is it something that they need to seek a professional for? And then understanding that it's okay.
Right, because isn't there a lot of shame sometimes and stigma attached to mental health?
There is. And what Dr. Sophia does at the retreats really is demystifies that. She demystifies it.
And I was just going to ask you, why do you think that is?
I think it's, culturally, I know in our community that, you grow up and you don't need to talk about the business that happens inside the business outside the house, right? I know from having a military parent that when you go to therapy, it gets onto a record. What does that mean? How does it travel with you?
Right. Can it be an impediment to your career?
And all of these things about these obstacles that it might put in your way, but in the meantime, you're sitting here and you need help. So who's helping you deal with that? And we've got to be able to now shift that paradigm. We are in a state now where there's social media, there's this immediate gratification in news. We talked about that, right? Or you guys talked about that last week. Is it news? Or we're starting to see so many things pop up readily, and the pressures that are associated with that are real. So understanding how to demystify that and understanding that going to a therapist is not an issue. It's a very good thing to have a professional be there to help you to unpack some of that stuff.
I agree. When we come back, I want to get into a couple other things, if that's okay. Social self-care and financial self-care.
Yes, so important.
So we'll be right back with Now We're Talking. Stay with us. We got a lot more discussion for you.
Absolutely.
Coming right back. Stick with us.
Okay. Yay.
We're rewarding you for something you already do, listening to us. It's Radio Loyalty, and it's an easy way for you to get free stuff. All you do is sign up. Go ahead and click the banner now. You'll earn points as you listen. Points you can trade in for great products and services in the Radio Loyalty store. You can earn even more points when you share your favorite station with friends on Facebook and Twitter. Radio Loyalty. It's free to sign up, so click the banner to join now.
You are now listening to Just a Bit Outside, the sports radio show at BeExposedRadio.com. Come join us every Monday night from 8 to 10 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, or BeExposedRadio.com.
So we had a lot of things going on.
Mother's Day, Major League Baseball, pink bats, pink outfits.
Yeah. They certainly did the mothers good. They don't show them justice. Like Jimmy said, the pink bats, cleats, all types of pink highlights in the major leagues. The Orioles were swept by the Kansas City Royals.
Wah, wah.
The Kansas City Royals. Thank you, Eric. Kansas City Royals is they're like one of the worst.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Now We're Talking with Mervin A. Bourne and Lolita E. Walker. We are just too excited about the conversation that we're having today on self-care. We've been talking about what is self-care, talking about it from a man's and a woman's perspective. We were just talking about
psychological self-care.
Yes, and I was talking about how Dr. Sophia Rahman is such an integral piece of my retreat as a licensed psychiatrist, and how it's important, at least for my specific retreats, that I have a psychiatrist there to be able to talk from the aspect of from where you've come to be at this point, which is really important sometimes for somebody to be able to talk about, right?
Context. Like I always talk about historical context in terms of understanding what's going on in society.
Yes.
But in terms of understanding what's going on with people as individuals, with yourself, you have to put things in the historical context of your life.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times we don't do that. We tend to, especially when there's painful things, we tend to put up walls and want to push things down and repress things. And but it's really hard to grow without acknowledging the events and the feelings that contribute or make you who you are.
Absolutely. So we are going to be having Dr. Sophia on at some point, and so we're just wrapping up the final logistics on that, but it'll be really great to hear her perspective on not only retreats, but on her practice and how she's built her business, because she does have a private practice as well. So
awesome.
Yes. I love that.
So let's talk some more about self-care.
Okay.
How about social self-care? That would involve, having a supportive group and network of relationships around you, people you can trust, people you can turn to when you need to. It's really important to have a sense of belonging, right, to something. What do you think about that?
I think it's real. I think that being socially self-aware or caring for yourself socially is very important. I'm in a sorority. I have a very strong, close-knit family. I have very strong, close-knit friends that surround me and can pull me up even when I might not see that I need help. Everybody doesn't have that strong support network, as you mentioned earlier. What my retreats do, and what I'm sure your retreat is going to do too, is puts you in, again, this sacred space of like-minded individuals, and mine are very intimate, between 8 and 10 people.
Okay.
I'm very intentional on that because I want to create those spaces where you can be social, where you can meet people and trust that what you're saying is going to stay in that room.
Right.
Also get to know each other a little more intimately, because that is how we're going to navigate and transition ourselves through whatever change that you're going through.
So there's no social media streaming
no.
during your
well, I will say that we do have breaks. Okay. And people are really excited to meet one another. Sometimes you find out that it's only 3 degrees of separation. Yeah. And so you will see, I think you'll see like some lives when we're on break or after the session's end, pictures taken. For my retreats, I actually have a videographer there so that for training purposes for me to be able to go back and improve, and also play on the strengths. But the testimonials are so important where I get a chance to talk to, the folks there. So
now, what are the testimonials?
What are they?
Yeah.
So the testimonials are either the facilitators that have come or the participants really talking about what did this do to you? What does it mean to you? When you came, I'm able to really get feedback. Yeah. This gift of feedback is right away. I've had some folks say, this is a DIY for yourself. DIY, do it yourself. Do it yourself. This is a DIY for you, for me, she said. And that's important because when you do it yourself, you have this method, you have this pride that's associated with it. When you do a project at home and you're, working on it and it's finally done, you're like, I did that, right? When you see yourself grow and you can feel it and then you physically see it because you walk out with this blueprint, you're like, I did that. Yeah. Hell yeah, I'm good. I am enough. All of those things, those affirmations, those positive things that you might not have felt walking through the door is now with you. And you have somebody that you didn't know that's going to be helping you because we have accountability.
I love it. When we come back, we're going to be talking financial self-care. So stick with us. We'll be right back with more Now We're Talking. Stick with us, right?
All right.
First they love you, then desert you. Leave with a plate full with no spoon. Ain't no space, I can't escape negativity. I got used to the taste. I've been bad, burned and fucked over. But remain strong through the past over. Kicking haters out of the way like masked over. Roll up, sip something, let it pass over. Who would I be? It ain't the man to me to let the next man take advantage of me. When that storm come, no pan I see. Get with it, not without it, then you'll see. I peep the haters, they know I'm greater. That's why they buzzing for the elevator. But I can't save you, the weed too loud on the pedal stool. Don't carry favors, always got your hand out demanding favors. When I just looked out, now you need more paper. I can't breathe, give me 3 feet. I never let y'all be the death of me. When my patients run that, yeah, nigga OT. Cause they wanna see me down like I'm NCT. 6 words, get the fuck away from me. Say I help you out if you can help yourself. I keep it G till I DIE. Now excuse me while I get back to PC. HOP ain't losing sleep while your third eye always on me. I'm stacking green just to feed the team. My boo, she know that I'm king when chasing my dream. These niggas it seems I rip them, trash them, then put on new jeans. See the problem is
my name is Ruth Rusey. I'm a retired teacher. I'm 91 years old, and this is how I live united. I say retired, but not really. Once a week, I read books to children as part of United Way's education program. Reading to a child creates links between language and literacy. It creates a bond between grown-up and child. And believe it or not, it prepares them for a better academic future. Oh, we read about frogs and flies and pigs with wings, all sorts of juicy stuff. It's a joy to watch all those little faces. I figure I have the time and they have the need. And I've always believed that if we're not here to help each other, then what are we here for really? My name is Ruth Rusey. I help kids prepare to succeed in school. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
My name is Meera Batra. I have been in this country 32 years, and this is how I live united. America has always been the land of promise, and in my community, many families have come for a better life. Coming from another culture myself, I know the desire.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back to Now We're Talking with Mervin A. Bourne and Lolita E. Walker. We are having such a great conversation on self-care. Yep. It's just amazing because even though I practice in this space of self-care, there's always something else that you learn. There's always something else that you're like, oh yeah, absolutely. So we've just been talking about the different aspects of self-care. We've talked emotional, we've talked physical, we've talked psychological, social, yes. And we were bringing up financial.
Yes, yeah, financial self-care.
Yes.
What is financial self-care?
Taking care of that money, honey.
What if you don't have any to take care of? Does that make it irrelevant?
No, absolutely not. I mean, reality is we live in this world and we need to move inside of spaces. And we do that with sometimes financial currency. And so I think it's just being smart about, you know, bringing awareness and being smart about the choices that you make with the little bit or a lot of money that you do have. I mean, the principles remain the same. So I'm really excited because Alan Boomer is going to be coming in May.
Yes, and Alan Boomer is the CFO of Momentum Advisors.
Yes.
Which is primarily a private wealth management company, but they also do so many things, assist people with franchising opportunities, managing money management,
investments.
Yeah, there's just so many different things. He's really an expert in the area of all things finance and financial empowerment. So,
and he and his partner Tiffany are just amazing, and we'll check in on that duo, but they are just so powerful. They have a radio show on Sirius XM.
Yes.
And I'm just so grateful that they'll be able to come and chat with us.
I can't wait.
It's going to be really good.
Oh yeah.
They have a staff, and their staff is phenomenal as well. So it's one of those things where not only is he going to be able to talk business building,
absolutely,
franchising, he has a number of businesses, so can talk to us about that. I'm looking forward to that.
And similar to you, he also started off in corporate America, working for other multinational corporations like Merrill Lynch and Goldman Sachs, and then decided to leap and formulated his plan and put it into place. And now he is a thriving entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
And has his own company.
He's a serial entrepreneur.
Yes,
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. So we're going to grab. We're going to grab some nuggets, all of it. We're going to do all of that. Try to pick his brain a little bit when he's here in mid-May. So we'll get you guys the schedule because we have some powerful folks coming up. And as we talk about self-care, I mean, just next week, we're going to have Tara Cheney, and we're going to be talking forgiveness. And Tara is a minister and brings to us not only that spiritual aspect of forgiveness and how difficult it is, but she also is in the process of writing a book. Woohoo! I'm so excited about that. So she's going to help us.
It's going to be good.
Yeah, we have some amazing folks that's coming on and just going to bless our stage. And with that, everything we do is really all about self-care.
Yeah.
We are here to help you grow. So whether it is the introspective look, so we break it down for 4 weeks in 1 month. So we have an introspective look. We have growing us. We have business building. And what's the last one? Why can't I think of that right now? Business building, growing us. I'll think about it in a moment.
It'll come to us.
It'll come to us. But still super important, and it's all about growing us. In the community, yes, in the community. Thank you.
Right.
So all 4 of those is really talking about how we start with the foundation of us, but then how we expand and continue to build. Self-care. And then caring for others as we care for ourselves. Look at how that all ties together.
It all ties together. It all ties together.
I love it. Okay.
So financial self-care we were talking about, and it occurs to me that a lot of times until we grow out of it, can actually be financially abusive to ourselves. And what I mean by that, and I'd love to hear what you think about it, is sometimes it's a product of not having financial education, maybe how you were raised or what you were taught or were not taught. Sometimes it's simply just from lack of information. But sometimes I think even when we do get the information, it's just a matter of how difficult it is to break a pattern. And so often we can find ourselves in a place where we're constantly misusing our money. Even though we know what the end result is going to be, we know where we're going to end up. We know what that feeling is like of not having enough or having to pay something that really needs to be paid, but not being able to pay it because we mismanaged money, or having a goal in the future and not being able to achieve that goal or effectuate that plan because we just financially were not smart, financially ignored those voices that were telling us to do other things financially, and we just couldn't help ourselves.
Yep. So the first thing I'll say is that that's so real. Everything is so real. Is it behooves us to begin to educate folks behind us on where our mistakes were, so that then they don't make the same mistakes. Before I go into this, if you want to call us, you could do so at 410-702-5657. Again, 410-702-5657. If you want to join in on the conversation.
One more time, 410-702-5657. 5657.
Call on in, call on in. Let us know what you're thinking. So not only us educating, but education is so important. Sometimes we make choices because we simply don't know. We simply weren't taught. We simply weren't around that same positive energy to help us to grow, right? So when I was growing up, I fortunately had parents who were on top of me about saving. When I had a job, I came home, I would have to give them money out of my paycheck, right? This is what we're going to deposit into your account. So I knew very early on not to co-sign for anyone. I knew very early on not to, you know, commingle my finances. I knew very early on that my parents weren't giving me a loan. Right? I knew early on about credit. And so when you're in those spaces where you're learning that, that's wonderful. But for people that's not in that space, when I got to college, someone asked me how to write a check. And I had...
Caught you off guard, right?
It caught me off guard.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I thought I was better than them. It's just that I knew how to write a check. So just to have to pause...
And you assumed that everyone
I assumed everybody knew how to write a check. Because that's who I was around, right?
That was a part of your financial education.
Yes, yes. And so you teach. You help to teach. And then that person will go and teach somebody else, though.
Man, I think it's also important to just acknowledge without judgment that if you are an adult over a certain age, and especially if you have children, you actually have an obligation to learn. Learn more. So if you know, if reading books is really not your thing, you know, we get it. But there's so many different ways you can get information. You can literally go to YouTube and find out anything you want to know without having to read, right?
It's a video.
It's a video. You can just watch.
Absolutely.
And I learned so much from YouTube. It's ridiculous. Like I never even planned it that way or saw it coming. But I'm just immersed in YouTube when it comes to specific people that I've identified as having just a wealth of information in specific areas. And finances is really no different.
And recognizing where your strengths lay. One of my strengths is not finance. It's not. And so I recognize that I need help inside that area. And I'm okay with that. Sometimes you got to let go of the ego and say, I need some help. I'm not good at it. But what I know is that I want my money to grow. I don't know how it's going to grow, but maybe I need to call Momentum Advisors and start to get some professional assistance.
Everyone that has lots of money also have financial advisors.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, because they don't know. They want to grow. They know they want their money to grow. So I think the key of what we're talking about too is when you know you want to grow, and deep down, everybody wants to grow. That's my philosophy.
We have a caller on the line.
Oh, well, all right.
So let's put him through. Hello. Welcome to Now We're Talking.
I can't. Tell them we can't hear.
Hello? Caller, are you there?
This is live TV.
I think we lost him.
Oh, okay.
But please call back 410-702-5657. 5657 410-702 5657. And we have several people watching through the live chat. Send us your questions, send us your comments. We'd love to hear from you.
And we got a couple questions outside of that the chat. Oh, I see. Okay, I'm hearing the background noise. Gotcha.
Okay.
So one of them was, how do you give self-care when sometimes you don't care? And I think that's such a powerful question. You know, depression is real.
Yes, it is.
Depression is real. And if you ask me, who's not a specialist here, I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist, but what I will say is that I believe there's a spectrum of depression and that we've all been there at some time. What that looks like or feels like might be different to everybody, will be different to everyone, but you know, depression is a real thing and you are not alone in that, is what I will say.
Absolutely not.
When you feel like you don't care, one, if you see someone that looks and acts like they don't care and they're in your circle, talk to them. Talk to them. Sometimes people just want to talk. You know, I've had a friend that's come over and really in a deep place. And it's tough in a deep place to hear me affirming them because they don't feel this power that I'm talking to them about. And it just comes with listening. It just comes with still putting in those nuggets. When they turn their back and they're crying, you still reminding them of the accomplishments that they've had. You're still affirming them because they're hearing, it just might not be penetrating at that time. So you meet people where they are, you continue to remind them, they're talking to you because you're trusted and they recognize that you're gonna help them to get out of this space that they're not too happy with.
Right, in their own time.
In their own time. And you've got to be that friend that sometimes says, I think you need professional assistance. And that's okay. And help them know it's okay. Help them know that this may be only temporary, but what I know is that you're spiraling, but I know the greatness that you are because I've seen it and I know where you're going because I've heard you articulate it. There's power in your voice, so I want to remind you of all of these things again and again. So that's what I do.
And there's no shame in being humble enough to admit when you need a hand.
Absolutely.
Because at some point, we all need a hand.
Absolutely. We wouldn't be where we are without a hand.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So what about spiritual self-care?
Yes. Spiritual self-care, I see that as you recognizing that there is a being that is higher than you, that you want to grow into, that you want to get closer to. And when you recognize that, again, this growth, when you want to get closer to, for me, is Jesus Christ. When you want to get closer, you find ways to get closer. It's not always church.
Right.
It could be church. For me, I feel testimony and get the word from song. That's big for me, right? You might get it from a play. You might get it from going to, in my religion, Bible study or something like that. Whatever that is, there's spiritual coaches that kind of coach you through moving into this space that you can get closer to your God. So that's where I see for spiritual, all of this self-care is really, to me, again, around the growth that we talked about. It's you recognizing that I will be in this place and this is where I want to get.
I love it.
Yeah.
I found something that says, in talking about spiritual self-care, and it talks about how spiritual self-care involves the belief and values that are important to you and that guide your life. And that can be so many different things that may or may not have anything to do with a temple or a church or religion. And it says this includes pursuing your noble goals and the practices that support you developing spiritual awareness. And we'll talk more about that as soon as we come back with Now We're Talking with Mervin and Lolita.
Yep.
We'll be right back. And the number to call in again is 410-702-5657. 410-702-5657. We'll be right back with Now We're Talking.
Long live Pop. Y'all can go ahead and cry now. I'm gonna show these niggas what to do at one of your beats, man. I am Gas, by the way. Strong woman story should have been on CNN. Nobody knows what it's like being Gwen. Windows closed in the house, it ain't no CNN. Can't gain weight for years, she been being thin. Single mother, no help from the system. When they was giving out food stamps, she missed them. Birth certificate, baby daddy, she couldn't list them. But her son was so beautiful when she kissed him. Blame it on love, but nigga she could've died with. Destroyed the whole world and found out she was a side chick. The nigga loved his wife and it got hard to hide it. So when Gwen confronted him, he ain't even denied it. Her fault, depends on who you asking. She tried to be a stripper, but the tip out was taxing. Buying all the purses, trying to keep up with the fashion. And her mama hated babysitting with a passion. She deserved better, better circumstances. A black queen, she should've been blessed with certain chances. Looked down upon, getting all the hurting glances. Making men change up all the twerking stances. She never cried about the pain, only gritted her teeth. But most soldiers never get a flower or a wreath. She like G.I. Jane in the war with no relief. Don't recognize why killers was going through her beef. She said more prayers than none did.
Whoa. The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
You can't even see the top of that thing.
even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
You're now listening to BeExposedRadio.com. Check out this fire flashback.
We need to relearn what it is to be these bosses and how we conduct ourselves as business-minded individuals and just people in general. I let my gut, and if I call it gut or God or whatever, I'm led by that energy. I know where it comes from. I know where it's, taking me, and you have to figure out what is important to you, and don't play this game. It's a game that we've learned to play, this chess game, and life is not a chess game. Life is real, bones, flesh, blood, decisions.
Make sure you check out the Artist Exchange Show every Monday and Friday at 2 p.m. only on BeExposedRadio.com.
This is a Poverty ENT exclusive. Next stop, Texaco, strapped up, you already know. Fuck niggas hate, that's how it goes. Bros with me, yeah, it's time to go.
I'm LeVar Burton, and I'm proud to be a book person. How do I choose a book? Sometimes it's the cover, sometimes it's the title. I guess I'm pretty visual. If a book's really impressing me and the writing is really good, I will peek and see what the last paragraph is, because the endings of books should rock you. I am a book person, and if you're a book person too, read to a child and spark a lifetime of ambition. Join me at bookpeopleunite.org, because reading is fundamental. A public service announcement brought to you by Reading is Fundamental, Library of Congress, and the Ad Council.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin' Street? Girlin' Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Now We're Talking with Mervin A. Bourne and Lolita E. Walker, where you can find us every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because we know we have a couple of people that are watching us outside of our time zone, which is pretty cool. We are talking self-care today, where I am your expert. I am a certified life and executive coach, for those who didn't know, and the author of The Intersection of You and Change. So Mervin is doing a phenomenal job, sir, on going through self-care and really challenging us to get some answers for you guys.
Why, thank you. And you're doing a great job giving us tons of information from your expertise, your life experience, your education, and you have a retreat coming up.
I do. I have a one-day retreat coming up, April 20th. It's Saturday. Yes, I know it's the Saturday before Easter, but it's a perfect time for you to experience some self-care. This is a day from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's a women's intensive one-day retreat where I take my 4-day retreat and condense it into the power packs that you need right away and that you deserve. So 10 to 6, we'll have a chef there the entire time. We will have yoga. We will be doing some workshops. We'll be doing some targeted work that really hits on self-care, and you're going to leave with some tangibles. So I'm really, really excited about it.
You had me at chef.
I had you at chef, and she's good. Chef Frey will be with us, and she's talked to me about our menu for the day, and we just getting it in. We're getting it in.
Love it, love it. So let's talk about environmental self-care.
Yes.
What in the world is environmental self-care?
Great question. So environmental self-care is really where I see it, so we could talk about where other people see it too, is really the environment around you, making sure that it matches how you want yourself to be. So whether that's cleanliness in your space.
Please try your call again later. Announcement 1, switch 170
I had someone come in my house and say, oh my gosh, that should not be there. Your couch should be turned the other way. And I'm like, I'm all in. Go ahead and do your thing, but there's energy in your spaces. And I recently came across an energy worker, forget what it's called, oh my gosh, she's gonna kill me, I don't know it off the top of my head, but she's a coach that really talks about the energy that's not only within you, but also within your environment in your space, and making sure that that matches holistically. So I think environment is really just around your spaces, keeping it clean, whether it's at work, at home, in life, and making sure that it matches who you are.
Wow. So what your office looks like, what your bedroom looks like, what your house generally looks like.
If it's cluttered, you're cluttered. Does it matter? Yes, it matters. Right. So think about it. How does your room look right now?
And we're not saying that, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're not saying that of getting things back in order, getting things into a place that's environmentally complementary to the frame of mind you want to be in.
I love it.
Peace,
environmentally
serenity, something that's conducive to productivity, right?
You know, before I was introduced to sage, I didn't really understand it. Actually, someone at the retreat was burning sage. I'm like, what is that? What are you doing? What does it look like? What is that doing? What is that saying? Because I equated that with, I didn't understand it. So, you know, it's all about education.
Someone was talking to me today about going home from work and burning sage.
Yes. Yeah. And it's interesting because up until that point, I didn't know what it was and I didn't understand it. And so I had all of these questions, but it was more so help educate me, because it could be scary when you don't know. It's scary to see something that you don't know or don't understand, which is why you have to use your voice and ask for those things. So now that I do understand it and understand that it can go, you know, with so many of your own beliefs. What does it mean and how can you incorporate it into your own beliefs? So as you're walking around the house and spreading this sage and burning this sage, what does it mean and what are you saying? What's the intention that you have behind it? It's so important. It's all about, you know, being deliberate, planning, being intentional, and then executing on that so that you can have this space, this environmental self-care as you're taking care of you.
Yeah. And think about how you feel after your house is clean.
Absolutely.
Or how you feel after you straighten up your office or your cubicle or your desk or your whatever your workspace is. After you straighten it up and then you step back and you walk out of the room, you come back in, and doesn't it make a difference?
It makes a difference. When you come back from a long trip or from a long day's work and smell some Fabuloso, I will say it out loud, it is amazing. When you can sit down and not be sitting on top of something, it's great. It is that release and relief.
Or is it even something just as simple as walking into your bedroom after a long, hard day's work and your bed is made?
Bed is made, absolutely. You know, making your bed. What are those habits that you have that will continue to put you in a space of serenity of where you want to be?
Yeah.
Making the bed is very important to me, right? My son makes his bed at 6 years old. It's very important to me. Washing the dishes before you go to bed. You know, what are those things that you're looking forward and knowing that tonight or today or in the morning is really going to put me in a space of low stress?
I love it.
Yeah.
When we come back, we're going to talk about professional self-care, and this will be our last one. And then we're going to get into some questions for reflections and answer some questions from the viewers.
Got it.
How's that sound?
I love it. This is great.
All right. Stick with us. We'll be right back in 2 minutes with Now We're Talking.
Take a minute and listen to this flashback of the old school Bruja radio show.
Give her a second to answer that. Oh, can I have one more question for the cards. I'm going to think the question and just pull. Do you want a specific deck or do whatever you want?
And I'm going to do the same exact thing in a minute and silently ask.
Okay. A quick read. A quick.
Just a quick.
A quick. Here you go. I'm going to do it for you. Ready? I didn't ask it yet.
I don't think it matters.
Okay, okay, I'm asking it now.
Stop playing.
Done.
Water.
Done.
You done.
I look, I'm shuffling.
Alright.
Oh. Which does it?
What's that?
Okay, so 3 of Swords. This is a love triangle. This is so there's one in the middle and there's 2 on the outside. This is also the card of disappointment, broken promises, some hurtful wounds.
Oh, really?
The one for me. Ever since then we've been vibing on some chemistry. It's just a matter of time. I know she feeling my vibe. I got the keys to the ride. She put her hands on my thigh. She got that look in her eye. Let's tell what I'm riding. Royalty, call me highness. All day and overnighted. Cause it's crunch time when I'm grinding. This Adderall got me nauseous. Proceed with caution. Tired of lanes, I'm exhausted. Papa Zanny
Like the one thing you always gotta remember is people gonna try to project their insecurities onto you. But you can't listen to what them niggas saying. You gotta get out here and do your shit regardless. You gonna do what you love for the rest of your life anyway. So why not turn that shit into something? Be a man of everything you say. This shit bigger than me, man. Like yeah, I'm good and all that, but you know what I mean? I ain't shit without y'all.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Hey, and welcome back to Now We're Talking with Mervin A. Bourne and Lolita E. Walker, where you hear it from a man's and a woman's perspective. As you can tell, we are live, and so anything can happen.
That's right. Anything.
Yes.
The number to dial in is 410-702-5657. 410-702-5657. Also, continue to send your questions and thoughts to the live stream. We'll be getting to them in this segment and the next.
Absolutely. So we have been talking self-care. We've been talking to different aspects of self-care. We've been talking about retreats. I have women's weekend renewal retreats twice a year in February and September. I'm having a one-day retreat on April the 20th, Saturday. The Saturday right before Easter. So come out and take care of you before you get into Easter that next day and get our spring started, right? Yes. We are going to start talking about professional self-care.
Yes, professional self-care. What is it? Why is it important? I go to work, I earn my check, I come home, and every once in a while I might get a promotion. Is that enough?
Is it enough?
Is that a plan? Sounds like a plan. It's kind of a plan.
It's somebody's plan. So I would say it's all on clarity and growth. Where do you want to be? Is that your plan? Everybody's plan looks different.
And where do you want to be when, I think is important too,
Absolutely.
right? And one of the things I like to encourage people to do is set goals, but also divide your goals. Short-term goals, medium-range goals, long-term goals. And I think a lot of times we get into careers or even jobs and we lose track of like seeing or trying to project where we want to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 8 years from now. And what I found in my personal experience is that the folks who are always thinking about the next 2, 3, or 4 steps often get there faster and easier and more smoothly than people who don't, and you look up and 20 years have gone by.
Absolutely. Because when you vision it, when you plan it, when you vision it time bound, then you can see it and understand it and want to feel it. So then you can work yourself backwards to small manageable chunks. And those chunks start off big. That's why, you know, businesses, corporations, companies have a strategic plan, because you have to look out beyond this year. You have to look out strategically at a 5-year plan, at a 10-year plan. Where do I want to be? And then how are we going to get there? And then managing those things back to what looks like annual goals, right? Then you checking in with those quarterly. And then you even making your 2-week plans or your 1-week plan based on where you know you want to get. So again, goal setting is so important. And the clarity of it, you know, the who's going to help you with that. When are you going to get that done? What exactly are you going to do? You know, drawing down, why is it important to do it? Making sure that it hits right back up to that vision is so critically important.
Yeah, and something that's been really important for me along my career journey is seeking out and finding the right mentors as well. And I think that that should definitely be incorporated as part of a really wise professional self-care plan.
Absolutely. And now that you mention a plan, have a professional plan, right? Have your individual professional plan. Have your individual plan, your family plan. You know, I had family meetings growing up. You know, our house is a business. How we run it is so important that it stays operational. And how are we going to run that? From the finances to emotionally to how are we spending time with each other? That social connection. I mean, if you look at this self-care realm that we've been talking about today of well-being, your family is a unit that needs self-care.
Absolutely.
And especially being the heads of these units, you know, parents, partners, even when you're a single mom or a single father, right? We're going to have single moms on when you talk about your book and really delving into that. Even as a single mom or dad, you are responsible for the children in the house even if you don't have children, you're responsible and you have a home.
Right.
You have a place that you're calling your own, and all of this stuff just kind of fits together.
And how often do we just run on autopilot in terms of family? You know, your children have their school routines, they have their sports and their activities. We have, as parents, our work routines. We're going to work, coming back, running here, running there, this practice, that practice, doctors in between.
Fast food, not planning your meals. I mean, autopilot.
Right. And it's so easy to just forget to check on the emotional and mental well-being and spiritual well-being of the people in your family as individuals, but also as a unit. And, you know, do a temperature check. It's really important to do that.
Yeah.
And so it's all, you know, part of healthcare.
Yeah.
And it's really, you know, the word holistic comes to mind, because until doing this show tonight, I really didn't understand or acknowledge how many different pieces there are to self-care.
Right?
You know, so
that's huge. So what do you do for self-care?
I do a few things, because I think you have to have a varied arsenal when it comes to self-care, because time might not permit you to do certain things, location might not permit you to do certain things, but some of the things I do for self-care are reading, meditation, listening to music, watching comedy, because I am a really big believer in the power of laughter, and laughter is medicine. And those are probably my top self-care tools in my tool belt.
Yeah, for me, if you left me to my own vices, I would be on my computer all the time. I'm a workaholic at heart, and so for me, self-care looks like putting the computer top down and spending time with family and friends. I love being around family and friends. I really do. It refuels me to be around positive people who give that back to me. That's very important. And we could literally be in our PJs all day watching a movie. Yeah. That's a big deal for me. Yeah. So that's one.
I love that.
Another one is traveling. You know, it's important to me to at least once a year go on a girls trip and just to go out of the country. It's really important to me. And I know that is not feasible for everyone, especially as a new entrepreneur. It gets a little shaky and tricky. So it might not be out of the country, but it will be somewhere that's outside of my house.
Everyday surroundings.
Absolutely. Somewhere that has a beach and a sun and a cocktail.
Because believe it or not, there are lots of places you can actually drive to that look and feel 1,000% different from where you are every day.
Unbelievable. It is. I mean, there's so much around just the DMV area if you really look around. And so those are two things that are my go-tos. Right. And also there's nothing wrong with a massage.
Yeah. And I agree. And I think it's also important to talk about money as an impediment to everything that we're talking about, because it's so easy to allow that to be and to tell yourselves that money is an obstacle to every aspect of self-care that we talked about tonight.
But it's not true.
And the reality is so far from the truth.
Absolutely.
I mean, even talking about, the few things that we just threw out, traveling, for example, you don't have to go far, especially depending on what area of the country you're in. Every area of the country has their own enclaves that are peaceful, different, serene. You don't have to go far.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also small things like grabbing your girlfriends for a weekend, have them come over, or your friends, have them come over for a weekend. Put the kids somewhere else. Get your money together, the small amount of money that you do have, and get somebody to watch the kids.
Step out of your comfort zone, right? Go to a museum. You might say to yourself, museum, why would I go to a museum? That's boring. But challenge yourself to do something you don't typically do, right? Challenge yourself. You have no idea how you're going to be impacted emotionally, spiritually, physically by going and looking at art. You don't know unless you've done it.
Eventbrite is also a great place to scour for free activities that's happening around your area. Some are money based, but a lot of them are not. A lot of them are just free for meetups, for self-care. There's so many different things that you can even just find on Eventbrite. So just look. You know, we talked about social media. I mean, the internet is wide array. Google free happenings in my area this weekend, and you'll just be surprised. Just walking outside. I live in near Fort Washington, and literally I looked for a park the other day, and I did not realize that there was a natural park there. It's so sad. Everywhere. I've been there forever. So I will be going to that this summer, right down the street. It's unbelievable. Yeah, so you just got to search and look.
And it's free.
And it's free. That's for me. Absolutely. I love it. So tell me about your retreat coming up.
Yeah, so I am in the planning stages of my very first men's retreat.
Yay.
And I was inspired by Lolita. And Lolita's been having and sponsoring and planning women's retreats for a couple years at least, right? And has had many successful retreats that I've been hearing lots about. And it was just really inspirational. And just thinking about the topic of self-care, it's really not something that you hear a lot associated with men. And as a man who works really hard and has been through a lot of things and has a family, I really do understand the value of self-care and the value of taking a pause and stepping back. But more than that, I've also come to understand much more in the past few years the value of being well-rounded and the value of not just physical health and not just financial health, but emotional health, mental health, social health. So I want to create an environment where a group of men can come together and where the theme will be building better men, better fathers for better futures. And for me, that encompasses all of those things. It's not just about making money. And so often, you know, we're put in this box in terms of societal pressure, our relationships, where we live, breathe, eat, sleep, and die trying to provide. And our number one and often only goal in life is to be providers. And that just leaves so much off the table. And I really think that that mindset is responsible for a lot of poor mental health, poor emotional health, depression, poor physical health, and a lot of the ailments that we see if we look across the entire landscape of men, in terms of men as fathers, men as relationship mates, men as friends, men as business partners and business people. And we're raising another generation of children. Absolutely. And we can't do it right, and we can't raise them to be better than us unless we become more whole people.
Absolutely. I love that. Do you watch World of Dance? So J-Lo's always like, I got goosies. People have to give them to me. And I'm like, ooh, I have goosies from that. I love it. So that's going to be so powerful. And I love your theme.
Yeah, so that is the vision. And I cannot wait to put it all together.
Absolutely. It's going to be phenomenal. I already know. Claim it.
It is.
Claim it. Absolutely. So my theme for my April 20th retreat is celebrating her, reclaiming me. And it's all about celebrating the woman who you are today, and then reclaiming me of who I will be as I continue on my journey and my growth. So it's again celebrating, recognizing, acknowledging, and then caring for yourself, pouring into yourself and fueling yourself so that then you can grow and thrive. Wow. Very similar. Yeah, I love it.
It seems like such a big bite to chew, but I am confident that you know what you're doing, not only because you've already done it and you've been doing it, but I really think it's important to impress upon people that are watching and listening and people that are going to go to your website, not to be intimidated by how big that all is. Yeah, how big it all is and how big it all sounds. Because one of the things that one of the retreat participants was trying to get through and couldn't, but what she would tell you is that what I know she would tell you, because we've talked about it, is that what I do have a great strength at is helping you to manage change in small chunks. So it's bite size and you don't feel overwhelmed, and how you get over that hump of the feeling of being overwhelmed. And so that's what we do. We break it down, and so it's manageable, so it's clear, so that you're driving clarity in everything you do. So one of the things that I did want to leave you guys with before we end this segment is be free. B-E-F-R-E-E. Believe in your strengths and open your mind to now explore. Expect moments to have meanings which propel you to soar. Face your fears head on, yet hold them at bay. Release what is not progressing you on today. Experience the unexpected, which you would normally let pass by, and embrace the renewed you who is now free to fly. Be free. Love it. Page 24 of the book. Be free. Be free. That's all about self-care. That is the intersection of you and change by Lolita. You are the author. Love it. We'll be right back with more Now We're Talking. We'll be closing out. Come back with us. Now We're Talking with Mervin and Lolita.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Artist Exchange Radio Show every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Real artist, real talk, real live on BeExposedRadio.com. I was meeting with a friend yesterday, and I've gotten to the point where don't ask me a question because the truth is going to come out. And exactly. Just don't do it.
If you ain't looking for the truth, don't come to me.
Don't do it because I can't hold my tongue. And she wants to be this stylist, boutique, but you're not doing anything in that nature, and I can't take you seriously if you're not doing those things. And I understood why people didn't take me seriously, because I found myself in somebody else's lane. I was good at what I was doing and what I wanted to be, but I wasn't doing it for me. So how can I ask you to take me seriously if I'm living in somebody else's shoes?
And nobody can do what you do, and I think that that's a big problem that people face now. Like, you see what somebody else is doing and you want to do that when that's not your lane.
That's not your lane.
That's not what you're supposed to be doing.
But it's popular. It's getting that person money. It's getting that person applause. Oh, I want applause. I want money. Let me stand over here behind them.
And then a lot of times people aren't honest with themselves either. Like, I was thinking earlier today, I've been woke for almost 2 days, so so you get honesty, and I was thinking, like,
the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
White keys only have this bitch jumping.
Okay. If I sit around, hold up. Look. If I sit around, hold up. Yeah. Rebel. Let's
If I sit around, I'ma smoke some more. Wasn't even thinking about smoke before, but I'm in my head, I'm in the bed. Don't know who I am, like I'm wearing a mask. Work them old, tell them where the cash. If you wear the cash, tell them where the cash. If you play it for you, gon' run it back. Don't make promises, but I promise that. Don't promise me, cause I ain't into that. Fell in love with that and got hurt from that. That was all over and the curtains back. Can't see you not noticing that. I'm letting it go, it ain't holding me.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Now We're Talking with Mervin A. Bourne Jr. and Lolita E. Walker. We have been talking self-care, and it's been just so phenomenal. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. 2 hours went kind of quick.
It flew by.
It flew by.
I cannot believe it.
Yes. So before we left, I left you with my Be Free creed, and our acronym that we're going to leave from today is Be Free. So I went kind of quickly just because of time, but you can find it if you have my book on page 24. It's called Be Free Boulevard, Stop 3 on Lolita's Change Train. If you don't have it, you can grab it at lolitawalker.com/the-book. Also, it's on my website, the Be Free Creed, under About Philosophy. So you could also see it there. I encourage you to go. So social media, where can you find me? LolitaWalker.com, LOLITA Walker.com. And you'll get the book. You'll see about my April 20th retreat. Please feel free to come on out. I'd love to have you. Still accepting participants. You can find me on Instagram and on Facebook at Walker, WALKER, the letter N, Walker Change.
Love it. And you can find me on Facebook at Mervin A. Bourne Jr., on Instagram at TheMABJR, and email me if you want to get directly to me, mervinbourne@gmail.com. That's MERVINBOURNE@gmail.com. I'm also the author of A Single Mother's Guide to Raising a Son, a book I published in 2016. You can get that book directly from me in person if you happen to see me or want to reach out to me, or you can order it directly from Amazon.com, where it is available in paperback and ebook as well.
And you can get us, Now We're Talking, on the radio show on Facebook. We also welcome your emails at nowwe'retalkinglive@gmail.com.
Yes.
Mervin and I are always available. We'd love to chat with you. You have topics that you want us to talk about, we're in. Let us know.
Absolutely. The show's available live every Thursday. We stream from Facebook on BeExposedRadio.com, and Now We're Talking on Facebook, as well as on YouTube, on the Be Exposed Radio YouTube page. Every Thursday, 7 to 9 Eastern.
Be free, right? Yeah. This has been great.
Yeah, it has been. So let's leave them with another nugget, because this came up during our show as well, EAT.
Oh, yes. Embrace, act, thrive. It is my tagline: embrace where you are, no matter what your circumstances. Act in your strengths and thrive in your greatness. Thrive in where you want to be. And that's what I do when you're aboard Lolita's Change Train. So I would love to work with you, whether it's workshops or coaching or my products or my services. I'm all in. So grab the book, start on your change train for your own self-care. All right?
Love it. An amazing show.
I know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you all for being with us, for sticking with us, for sending in your thoughts and your questions, and for your support. We love you, and we can't wait to be back with you next Thursday.
Yes. See you then. Bye.
Join the club that gives you stuff.
Hey, thanks!
Radio Loyalty.
Here's how it works.
Just click on the Radio Loyalty banner right now and sign up. Then, you keep on listening like you already do. But now you earn points. Those points add up, and you can trade them in for stuff in the Radio Loyalty store. Earn more points by sharing your station with friends on Facebook and Twitter, answering surveys, and by using the apps in the New Players App Store. Pretty simple, right?
Radio Loyalty.
Click that banner to join now.
Join the Just a Bit Outside crew every Monday, 8 to 10 p.m. on BeExposedRadio.com.
You want to start off?
I think I'll get it out of the way on a who's not.
Okay, do it.
The Orioles.
Right.
They got swept by the Royals. They lost 4 in a row, and the last 5 games have all been decided by 1 run. The game before, or the last game that they lost before the Royals was the Nationals, and it was a Weeder.